All right, we're back. It is application season once again. So December is usually always the start of app season, and Idaho has shaken things up again. As most people probably know, Idaho has moved away from their non-resident general season deer and elk tag sale date. Before, that was a big process where you could get tags on a certain date, online or in person or over the phone, and it was kind of a mess and just difficult for non-residents to get a deer elk tag for general season in Idaho. So they made a switch, and now the non-resident season is all, or the application thing is all through a draw process. So first off, this draw going to impact your ability to apply for controlled hunts, whether they're deer, elk, or sheep, moose, that sort of thing later on, and that is not the case at all. So this is, to participate in the non-resident general season deer and elk draw in Idaho, you can still apply for controlled hunts later in the year. All right, next up, application period for Idaho's non-resident general season deer and elk draw is December 5th through the 15th of 2025. So if you're new to this system, you'll see the draw is in 2025 for hunts that are going to occur in the 2026 season. So this is going to be your short window, December 5th through the 15th, to do your research, figure out all your strategies, and try to apply. And that's hopefully what this video is going to help you with. We're going to go through some of the outlines of intricacies of this draw, how it works, and then also how to research using GOHUNT Insider to help you with the plan right now for your hunting application choices. So Idaho says there's no application fee per se to enter this draw, but there kind of is if you think about it. So all non-residents must purchase a 2026 hunting license to be eligible to apply in this draw. Those 2026 hunting licenses go on sale December 1st, 2025, so you can pick it up ahead of time. The big thing to note, that hunting license is non-refundable. So that means even if you're not successful in drawing your general season deer or elk tag as a non-resident, you are not going to be refunded that fee. So that's going to be a big barrier entry to some folks, because previously you can get your hunting license at the same time you added your deer or elk tag to your cart during that tag sale date back in the day. But now you have to think about how serious do you want to be about trying to pick up a general season tag, because that hunting license is not going to be refundable. So $185, it's got to think if that's going to be worth it to you to apply in this draw. So you're going to definitely have to pick that up ahead of time. You will not be refunded that if you don't draw. But keep in mind, if you do have that hunting license, you can use that for other hunting opportunities in the state of Idaho, and you can use that when you apply for your controlled draw later in the year as well. All right, so the big thing to note on this general season draw is you're going to be given opportunity to do application choices. So you can select up to 5 hunt choices each for deer and elk, okay? And you can submit 2 applications. So you can do a deer application and you can choose an elk application. And DAV applicants, they have a whole different process. So be sure to jump to the article that's on GOHUNT's website that is linked below in this YouTube description to read more about the DAV opportunities. I'm just going to cover just what most people are probably going to be going for is the general season deer elk tags. So like I said, you can submit to 5 hunt choices. You can do 2 apps, 1 for deer, 1 for elk, and regular deer tags and white-tailed deer tag can be applied for on the same application as well. And then when it comes to party applications, so this was a big complaint from a lot of people back in the day, is the old system did not allow you to apply as a party. So you and your family want to try to get some elk tags or deer tags. Maybe one person got a tag, all the other ones didn't because they had a really bad random number in the old system. Well, this system now will help fix that. So you can submit party or group applications for the Idaho non-resident general draw. Up to 4 hunters can apply together on an application, and if one person draws, everyone in your party or group will get a permit for whatever deer elk that you're applying for if you do draw. There is quotas. So in the article, I would suggest go to GOHUNT website, or again, the article is linked down below in the YouTube video, to check out all those non-resident quotas for deer, elk, and white-tailed deer. That's going to break down exactly the unit, the zone-by-zone breakdown of how many permits, tags are going to be available for each species for non-resident. But in general, non-resident hunters and all these general season deer and elk and uncapped elk zones are limited to 10 or 15% of the total hunters in each game management unit or elk zone. And then there's a little caveat. Some of the backcountry deer hunts have been limited to a 5-year average number of non-residents, where overall hunter numbers have been relatively low. So there's a little caveats all there, but that's why I suggest go to those tables, check them all out, read them, see how many permits are available. And then the big thing too, always remember that the statewide quota for non-resident general season deer and elk are capped. For elk, that number is 12,815, and for deer, that number is 15,500. Now let's run into the draw process. How is this Idaho new draw going to work? All right, so you're gonna have to apply December 5th through the 15th. You have to buy that $185 non-resident hunting license to then apply, okay? After the app closes, all the applicants are going to be assigned a random number, all right? The tags will be issued from someone who has the lowest random number to the highest. And here's where it gets into the nitty gritty of you really need to know what units you're applying for and how you're gonna rank your choices. Because again, you could apply up to 5 unit choices. So you got first choice, second choice, third choice, fourth choice, and fifth choice, all right? All first choices are gonna be evaluated first, all right? So that's why your first choice is gonna be very important. Maybe you're trying to shoot for what you think is a very coveted deer or elk tag. Maybe a lot of other people are doing that same thing. So if you have a really low number, you're gonna be in luck. You'll probably pick up your first choice. But if not, so that's gonna be the hard part. You have to decide how you're gonna sort those. It's very important how you wanna do it. You could, a lot of these units have low tag quotas. You apply for that one first and you have a bad number. Obviously, you're not gonna get your first choice. So just keep that in mind that all first choices are evaluated first, and then tags will be issued if there is still a quota available. And then after all first choices have been looked at, the draw will then return to the person with the lowest random number of their app, and then they'll look at the second choice, and they'll skip people obviously who already have drawn a tag for their first choice, or there no quota is left for their second choice, and then they'll keep moving on through everyone's second choice, and then that process will then repeat for the third through the fifth choices. So again, how you rank your 5 choices is going to be important. If you just want a certain unit, sure, you could just apply for one, but we would always suggest if you just want a deer tag and you have 5 great choices for deer, 5 great choices for elk, you might as well put all your choices down on there. But just keep in mind, all applicants' first choice is looked at before all applicants' second choice, and so on. So that's how their draw process is going to work for this. And again, regular deer tags and the whitetail deer only tags can be applied for in the same app. So I hammer it home, party applications, 4 people can apply on a party app together. One draws, all draw. So keep that in mind. All right, now I'm going to run through some very important dates and deadlines, and I just want to hammer home that these are very important to pay attention to because there is some caveats to you have to pick up your tag by a certain date, you have to purchase it, otherwise your tag is going to be forfeited. All right, we already mentioned December 5th through December 15th, 2025. That is your application window to get your app submitted for these tags. All right, draw results will be released by early January. You'll be emailed those draw results, and then you actually have a first application period deadline to claim those awarded tags. So that date is January 20th of 2026, or your tags will be forfeited. So if you don't purchase that deer tag that you drew by January 26th or January 20th of 2026, your tag will be forfeited. So don't let that happen if you draw a tag. There will be a second application period, again, non-resident draw only, and that's going to be February 5th through February 15th of 2026. And then again, you'll get draw results for those. And then you have probably about early March they're claiming for those draw results. And then you have a second application period to purchase those tags, which is going to be March 20th, 2026, or those tags will be forfeited. And again, there's some DAV exceptions for those tags in here as well, but just check out that article. It's going to be a lot more information on that. If your tags are not be purchased by the first deadline, again, like I said, you'll be forfeited, and then those tags will be available in the second application period. So that's a good little bit of information. If you did not draw on the first one, go back and check, because maybe there's something that was undersubscribed, and there'll be a list of new tags, or people will have not purchased their tag, and now they'll be available in the second draw. One of the biggest questions that I feel like we're going to get here coming up is, will GOHUNT produce draw odds for this general season draw? And the answer right now is unfortunately no. because the way we work with draw odds is we need to see how the previous year unfolded before we can produce draw odds for the next key year. So since this is a brand new draw, it's pretty much anyone's guess how these tags are going to go, where the demand is going to be, which units are going to sell out first, which ones are going to be undersubscribed. So we will not have draw odds right now for the Idaho 2026 general season deer and elk draw. Best way to go about that, what I'm going to talk about here in a little bit, is how to do some research ahead of time, try to figure out, what units might, in a sense, be a little more popular than others. Otherwise, it's a guessing game. No one really knows how this is going to work. There obviously, if you were paying attention in years past, you would see which tags are kind of sold out first, and you can kind of use that information if you have some screenshots of that. But again, it's just a guessing game right now on how this is going to play out. Okay, we'll quickly talk about some of the fees when you're going to be applying in Idaho for this draw. So again, I already mentioned the $185 non-resident hunting license. You have to purchase that to get in the draw, non-refundable. And then the 2026 non-resident fees for your deer and elk tag, $351.75 for a deer tag, $651.75 for an elk tag, $23.75 for a deer DAV tag, and then $39.75 for an elk DAV tag. And those are all, again, non-resident fees. All right, now for a little bit of insight on how I would probably approach this. So if you're a GOHUNT Insider member, you're in luck because you have all the tools right in front of you to try to help research your 5 choices for deer, 5 choices for elk. If you're not an insider, definitely subscribe and get access to all this information. Application season's here. There's no better time than now to get an insider membership. It's going to greatly help you out to plan and prepare for your upcoming season. So first thing here, I am on GOHUNT's homepage. I'm going to go to tools. I'm going to go to filtering. All right, now we're on GOHUNT's filtering set of research tools. We're going to select Idaho. For this example, I'm going to select mule deer because they're awesome. And now you're going to see here on filtering, it's going to show you a unit map, all the units in Idaho. It's going to show you a brief summary about all those units from over-the-counter to all the controlled hunts. But we want to narrow this down because we're only right now looking for those general season mule deer hunts. So on the right side where the filters are, it says state, species, trophy potential. I'm not going to mess with those filters right now. I'm going to jump down to the season date section. So I want to choose a season. And for this hunt, I'm going to do the rifle over-the-counter season. So now you can see the map slightly changed a little bit on the left and narrowed some things down. And now we're only seeing information about all those mule deer rifle over-the-counter hunts. So basically what you could do here, if you're concerned about, or you would take into account, trophy potential. You could take our trophy potential slider, start moving that around. As you can see here, I go up from 160 to 170. A bunch of those units are dropping off. And again, that doesn't always mean that there's not going to be a 170-inch deer or above in some of those other units. This is just, typically on average what you potentially could find in that unit. So don't always use that as a, straight fact. There's always going to be big deer pretty much in every unit. It's just generally there might be some higher ones on these other units. So as you start narrowing this down, I'm going to bump this back down to 160, for example. Get a little more units showing up there. So basically you can see at the top, trophy potential, percent bucks, 4-point or better, and the amount of public land, and then you'll see harvest success information as well. So you can basically keep scrolling through this list, start analyzing a bunch of these units as you're going through here. You could also filter down below here by public land percentage if you want to, and again, it's just going to start narrowing down all those unit choices. You could also filter by some harvest success to, again, narrow down your search results. So once you start narrowing that down, you see a bunch of units you like. One of the things I really like to do is on the right side next to the season, there's going to be a little save button, and you can actually click that and save that unit and then start creating a hunt plan in our hunt planner tool. And you can basically put all 5 of your choices in there. You can start to add notes and start to really dial in your process and kind of eliminate or move units around as you start doing your research. That's a great way to save a bunch of time. You're like, hey, I saw that unit I kind of liked. I click save on it, add it to a hunt plan, and that way you can label it your 2026 Idaho general season deer hunt plan. Once you start looking into some of these units, I'm just going to randomly click on one here, in no particular order, just randomly clicking on this unit. The next step I would probably do is jump into our GOHUNT unit profile. So we have unit profiles for every single unit across the West, and these are just full of really awesome information. So again, you'll see unit map up on top. You'll be able to see it right here at the upper left. There's actually 13 comments on this unit profile, which I'll get to in a little bit here. We have a little summary in the upper right corner, see what hunters are saying about this unit. And And you can basically get a lot of information here from, what the terrain's going to be like, vegetation, moon phases, axis, historical temperatures. And what I really like jumping down to is the species and season level data. So again, you'll see your mule deer trophy potential, bucks 4-pointer and better. You'll see your seasons, which you see, season dates, harvest success graph, amount of hunters surveyed in the unit. And that's a very valuable section of information to see, like, okay, how many hunters are actually hunting this unit? Is a really popular unit, or maybe it goes a little bit undersubscribed. You can kind of see those surveys about, what the unit's trending and how many hunters are surveyed. Maybe you can compare that also to the harvest success to see how harvest success is going up and down. And you can just click on those and, start looking through all that data. Then the really powerful stuff is going to be at the bottom. Most people know we just revamped our unit profile commenting. Now we allow people to drop photos of the unit, drop their trophy photos, terrain photos, wherever it might be, and you can just jump in and have really good conversations with insider members who have actually hunted there before, or people who are just asking questions about the unit too. So if you have questions, you can jump in, respond to people's questions, ask them what thoughts about this unit. You can see right here, this guy Joe, he actually dropped 2 photos in there. It's really great. Another guy had another photo, and yeah, just unit profile comment section is going to be really powerful as well when you're doing your research. So definitely check all those out when you're going through. And then again, on the upper right corner, you can actually still save this unit to your hunt planner if you need be. So that's like filtering in a quick walkthrough about how I would probably go about approaching this for the Idaho general season deer and elk draw. Okay, so I also mentioned that article on GOHUNT website, so that's only available to insider members. And that's going to get into, again, a little more detail than we're talking about in this video, because again, those are our paid insider members, and they definitely deserve to have some lockdown information. So this is just a quick look right now. I have it pulled up here. This article is titled Application Strategy 2026, Idaho Non-Resident General Season Deer and Elk Draw. So you can search for that article on the website and find it. And again, it's going to go into a lot of this in-depth information. I'm just going to scroll way down below. There's going to be a lot of like how-tos in this article as well about how to use those insider tools, how to use the, zone profiles on filtering for the elk side of the draw, and again, how I would use that hunt planner. And then right here, as you can see, I'm just scrolling through and you'll see all these tag quotas for regular deer tags and elk tags. It's also worth noting too, on the app side that I mentioned earlier, everything's going to be applied through a hunt code. And that's why you should also check out the article to see what the exact hunt code is for the unit. And again, to the right of that, you'll see the tag numbers and all that stuff. So really good in-depth article, and then supplement with this video, and then supplementing with all the insider tools will put you towards your best foot forward to try to draw a tag. And again, it's anyone's guess how this draw is going to work. I'm sure it's going to be very popular, and it'll be interesting to see next year what the draw odds are actually like for this. But this is basically a quick overview of all the ins and outs that you really need to know about Idaho's 2026 non-resident general season deer and elk draw. If you have any questions, as always, drop them in the comments below in the YouTube video, or jump over to that article if you're an insider and ask your questions about the process, and best of luck.